All right, everyone. It's time to go live. It is an extremely hot day right now. It's almost 90 degrees, actually, so, yeah, if I'm underdressed, there's a reason for that. Today, we're going to do a bit of a Bantz and news stream. And I figured I'm trying to test out a new concept. What if you have a stream where people simply bounce the news to you and say sort of what they want to be reported on? I will have RCP open on the side, and of course I will confer with that as well. But mainly I'm just going to be reacting to your chats, actually. It doesn't need to be a super chat, though, of course, for fiscal reasons, I do prefer it. I think I do have some Twitter news, actually, though, that I did want to get to. I did have some messages. The problem is trying to get them to load, mostly. It can be a little bit of a problem. Charles Hodge, my main man, he's always got the good stuff. Weaponization. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is warning ICE agents that he will see to it that their identities are known to the public, including the cartels MS-13 and TDA. Yeah, Trendy Aragua, of course. How wonderful. Yeah, so you're now putting out hits on ICE members. I did notice that news earlier. Thank you, Charles Hodge, by the way, for that on Twitter. This is nuts. The idea that an element of the government, simply because it's salty, would give out the names of agents to foreign groups that are terroristic in origin in many cases is absolutely insane, actually. But this seems to have been happening this entire time. This isn't the first time that this sort of thing has happened, actually. Barack Obama, fuck, piss, shit. You got it out of order! Taco Woman Sandy Ravage. Elon is dropping serious nukes on X right now. Oh, I'll have to, watch that. We'll have to take a look. What's Elon Musk saying now? I know that he's slightly at odds with the Trump White House at the moment, but I think it's being overblown by the legacy media, and not without good reason. Let's, yeah, so I'll be responding mainly to your prompts, and I'm trying out a new time slot. I'm trying out a bit of a new format here. I do like to docket the news and do like dedicated news streams, but at the same time, sometimes it's fun to simply, you know, hash it out with the audience, you know? The quartering, what the fuck, Elon? We all know if he actually was the Democrats would have released him immediately. Oh god. Time to try, this is 15 minutes ago. Time to drop the really big bomb. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, Donald J. Trump. Oh man, okay. Well, this changes things somewhat. Yeah, I don't know exactly how to react to this. So the Doge team got access to the Epstein files and you found that Trump was in them? Can I please see some evidence of this? See, here's the problem. I always distrust this sort of thing until I see actual documentary evidence of the claim. To be clear, I know that Trump is presumptively in the Epstein files. What exact role was played? Did he go to Little St. James Island, or was he simply mentioned in a court filing? See, here's we're putting on our lawyer caps now. You can be caught up, or our legal caps in general. You can be caught up in a case without having done anything wrong. You might be named as a witness. You might be named as an accomplice. We've seen this with the NSA. Do you remember the NSA spying scandal, for example? I have a feeling that Elon's just mad at Donald Trump at the moment. Maybe they had a falling out or something. During the NSA problem, which was many years ago, this was under Bush-Obama, what we found out was that with Snowden's releases, What we found out was that American citizens had been tapped simply because they were communicating with a foreign entity that had connections with supposedly some terroristic group or something like that. Their Fourth Amendment rights were violated. Donald Trump doesn't need to go to Little St. James Island in order to be named in any documentation. All he has to do is be vaguely associated with somebody who happened to go to Little St. James Island. Lifestyles of the rich and famous, all of these people went to Little St. James Island, apparently not Trump. He did take Epstein's plane on several occasions, but it wasn't to an island or a ranch, it was to Manhattan, generally speaking. And so, I'm not sure that this is as damning as you would originally think. The insinuation is, of course, that Donald Trump went to Epstein Island. There is no evidence that he has done so. In fact, I'm going to make a retweet about this right now, actually. Just give me a second. You're seeing this live. Being named in filings does not indicate guilt. It indicates adjacency to potential guilty party, which is legally factual, by the way. So, I'm going to remain Team Trump on this one. I'm not sure who pissed in Elon's Cocoa Puffs this morning. I'm not exactly sure why he's pissed off or anything like that. Sizemore, bro, you need a new microphone. Your audio is shit. Oh, shit. Maybe I'm using the wrong microphone. It's possible. Just give me a second. No, it should be using the right microphone. Tell me if this improves things. I may have pressed the wrong button. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Is that better? Because the other day it was crystal clear. Why would my audio be shit? Is that better? Have I improved it? It sounds better? It says, yeah, I need, okay. I'm just making sure that, things are adjusted here. You gotta realize let me see. Green Text Pro. No! That's very weird. Nobody complained about the audio until now. Audio good on X, as Patrick Clow. Okay, it's not better? Just a sec. Let me change the setting again. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Is that better? There are 4 different settings on the Yeti, and so sometimes if I press the back of it accidentally, sometimes it can get wonky. BW, Sticks, Jeremy is saying Trump is doing social credit and that we have effed our best ally Elon. What do you think? I'm still going to side with Trump. I don't believe that he's going to do social credit scores and things like that. I think that they have had some sort of falling out, and I think that it's unfortunate because this is a dream team, actually. If you've got Trump and Musk on the same team, they're basically undefeatable, so I'm hoping that they reconcile. Mark Guidetti, Bannon caused the Trump and Elon issue. Tony Martinez, you rock, Sticks. Keep on keeping on. Yeah, it seems like it's splitting people apart for real this time. Some people are, dedicated Trumpers, and some people are Team Elon. As far as I'm concerned, they've both done great things, and, I'm not going to wade into some retarded civil war or something like that. Last beacon, hi Sticks, ping us! Okay, my audio is apparently having issues. Give me one moment to try to correct this. CF, come to Long Island, bro. Also, World War III over drones or? I don't think so, actually. Here, give me a second. I'm going to try to solve this audio issue. I'm going to have to mute this microphone for a second. Alright, testing, 1, 2, 3. Is that better? I know it might be a little bit echoey in the background, but beyond that, I mean, is it, can you hear it properly? Let's check this. Yeah, sometimes you have audio problems. I should get a more sophisticated setup like what Lev or Tim Pool have. You wouldn't believe the kind of rigs they've got. Much clearer? Excellent. Sounds better, but much quieter. Needs some gain. Well, I can do that. Oh, yeah, oh, now I see the problem. That should be better. Is that better? Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Perfecto. Correcto mundo. Aye, we good. Alright. Ben Bacon, the day is coming when your little 10.2 millimeter Tinky Winky will be exposed for all to see. Haha. Yeah, if somebody posts my dick pics, I'm not even going to bother, retaliating at this point. It's all good. I'm sure that it'll come out eventually, since I've sent dick pics to a number of people, along with other various lewd photos. Just saying. Last beacon, yes. BW, Jeremy says that Trump is collaborating with Palantir to make a citizen database. If he is right, this will be our asses and Trump will have burnt us. Yeah, I made a video on that. I completely oppose the Palantir deal. This is, in my opinion, a miss for the Trump administration. A big one, by the way. Fairly considerable. We don't need more censorship. We don't need more data gathering, so-called, which really means spying. They just use a different term. And what I compared it to was that famous Carlin stand-up where he was talking about soft language. And it's like, he's like, shell shock became post-traumatic stress disorder. And he was talking about how they elaborated on the language to soften it. The same thing is true here. Spying has become data gathering. Censorship has become fighting disinformation. You see where this is going. This happens all the time. The government loves to elucidate on the meaning of various things in order to scramble people's minds. Trump is not immune to this, and that's why I've said he's not a god emperor. He's doing, in general, a good job, and I'm very thankful for that. I voted for him. I'm thankful for the job that he's doing. That doesn't mean that every decision that he makes is automatically correct. With regards to the Palantir data gathering, spying scheme, I completely oppose it. Sounds like something the Bush administration would get into, actually. And so I'm slightly upset about it. We'll see where it goes, though, because one saving grace is when Trump does fuck up, the courts have a tendency to injunct everything that he does. BW, so the right will be going to the can when Dems get in. Maybe. Bobby, Sticks accidentally sent a dick pic to PPP. Now that didn't happen. I didn't send my PP to Triple P, but I have sent dick pics to people before. Just saying. Last beacon. That's the one thing that has me worried, because it will be the GOP that will get its ass busted, and looking for a 1990 to 92 style ass busting. Intriguing. It could happen. Turtles Toy Box. Sticks got drunk and sent the pics to the casino dudes thinking 'twas flex. Yeah, no. No, that didn't happen, actually. Not that it would matter. I mean, what are you gonna do? Post revenge porn? That's a felony. Just to be clear, if anyone has my dick pics floating around out there, I don't really care if you post them. It means absolutely nothing to me, honestly. So don't worry, I'm not going to file a federal lawsuit if you happen to release them. Did have one person post a lewd that I had given to her when she got pissed at me at one point. That was a decade ago, I think. But, you know, it doesn't really matter. Let me see. Let's get to our sponsors before we continue, shall we? And keep in mind, you can send super chats or rumble rants. We'll talk about whatever news stories you have in mind. I'll be referring to Real Clear Politics as well, and we'll get into some other basic bitch news. But today is more of the Bantz stream, so to speak. It's too hot for me to focus. It's like almost 90 goddamn degrees, and I have to wear a pirate hat in my line of work. So it can be a little bit much. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get delicious snacks for your doggy treats. It's 6 times dual bioactivated mushroom extracts, and they're all gone now because apparently they're hilariously tasty. You can also get mushroom pills for yourself. I take them every single morning. Again, there's a way that I get my energy, despite the fact that I'm dying. Next, we have biltongusa.com, where you can get delicious biltong, as the site name suggests. Wagyu, Carbonaci, they've got bison, they've got pretty much everything under the sun. Also, you can get Bovrite, among other things. Marmite and Vegemite. You can spread these around on toast, and trust me, it's pretty goddamn delicious. Use code STICKS for 10% off, by the way. Anton does it right. Based in Roanoke, Texas, but building a new facility, I believe. He can set you up. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is jamnbean.com, where you can get teas and coffees. We've got the official Clanker blend of coffee, actually. I think there is the one last bag here that I brought over as a gift downstairs, but I think that everyone has drank it already, actually. Which doesn't surprise me. It's like the smoothest, most delicious coffee that I've ever had, so the fact that it didn't last long, not a big surprise. Just saying. Last beacon, one little tidbit. The fighting disinformation. It went to the top there for a second for no apparent reason. That came from the Never Trumpers side. That one is the neoconservative contingent. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, unfortunately. Unfortunately, they're the ones with the money. And the type of conservatives that used to be a part of the Team Party before Trump came on the bandwagon and everyone else fled in 2017 to 2018. Yeah, like the Bushes of the party and stuff. Bush practically endorsed Joe Biden. He practically endorsed Kamala Harris. I tried to warn people many, many years ago, these people are not your allies. These people are effectively nothing more than your enemies. And very few people paid heed to it because they're locked into partisan politics. And some of you, of course, you surmise the same thing. So for those of us that actually got it, we got it right. That's for sure. I think I have a... I think... I'm hoping I didn't miss a super chat, actually. But I think that I might have. I'm not 100% sure. Let's go to RCP. Net zero is net loser for Democrats. I happen to agree with this. This is the first news story that's currently aggregated on RCP. By the way, tomorrow is 6/6. It's a very auspicious day. Um, I agree with this. The problem with the net zero concept is that you can't actually attain it without destroying the economy completely and making people miserable. It's also not a serious suggestion. What's happening is that Democrats think that it sounds good on paper to people on the far left, which are jumping ship off the party left and right anyway, mostly to the left. Haha, haha, get the joke? The problem is that there's really no one they can wine and dine with that messaging anymore. I don't even know exactly what they're trying to do, honestly. I'm literally not sure. I have no clue. It's inexplicable. A term that I use more and more often because of the way that politics are actually operating at the moment. It makes absolutely no sense. You're whining and dining people that are going to flee your party anyway, to the exclusion of people that are at least relatively rational and understand that net zero cannot actually be obtained. Well, good luck on that. That makes, again, it makes a lot of sense. Is Biden's... Alright, the dog is barking. I should probably take a look into what's happening right now. Just a second. Alright, everyone, everything's fine. The dog was barking because the owners of the home came home. It had nothing to do with pooping, by the way. Joker thief. Styx is beating someone up again. No, no, but if somebody tries to break into the house, they will definitely meet their maker. Just saying. I practice situational awareness. It's an element of Krav Maga, actually, which is an Israeli martial art, more than anything. It's a military training. You have to be aware of your surroundings at all times. And by the way, it is exhausting because you're constantly scanning your surroundings for potential dangers. It's, yeah. Last beacon. And it's trying to do its the damnedest to shake half of the conservatives out of the cult. I'm hoping that Jam and Bean comes out with K-Cups. I think they already have them, actually. I think they already sent me one, actually. I think. Dreaminology is Burlington. Oh, I went to the top again. Still plagued with open-air drug market sticks. Yes, unfortunately, Burlington is falling apart. M27, I recently wrote my first cookbook. It's a cookbook for broke bitches on Amazon. That sounds good. One time I took bread, well, toast, really, and melted cheese onto it and put some slices of pepperoni on it, and it was basically like a pseudo pizza. And yeah, this is trailer park food. I am not beyond eating that, trust me. Last beacon, sorry I meant TEA, aka taxed enough already. Spider Eternal, did you see Elon calling out Trump saying Donald J. Trump is in the Epstein files? Yes, and again, I have a theory on this. He probably is in the Epstein files. He rode on Epstein's plane several times and was an associate of his. This does not mean that he screwed anyone underage. And this is really the problem. This is the problem with regards to the Epstein case. Everyone wants the Epstein files, but there are a bunch of ongoing investigations into them. This process can take years, and it can't be helped because the legal system is very, very slow. For instance, I've got a misdemeanor charge against me. It's been almost a year since that case actually began and has cost a significant amount of money. And so, you know, you can imagine if you've got hundreds of potential pedophiles and you're trying to look into them as much as possible and investigate everything, it's going to take even longer than that, quite a bit longer. And so there's nothing that they can do. If they dump the list and they say these are the people who went to Epstein Island, which Trump is not one of, apparently, then they screw up their own cases. These people will float because their lawyers will simply go before the court and say, Your Honor, every jury in the land is now predisposed towards guilt. It's impossible for them to get a fair trial. This is the way that a good defense attorney would, by the way, operate. Last beacon, the type of people that want net zero, you have to get at least probably 17 to 18 years back. Spider Eternal, I wonder why they're feuding so publicly. By the way, your mama's so dumb, she threw a rock at the ground and missed. Much love. Ha ha ha, I like Yo Mama jokes. Is this going to become a Yo Mama joke stream? I mean, I'm not averse to that, by the way. This is mostly a Bantz stream. I'll talk about any news that anyone brings up. But at the same time, Yo Mama jokes? Yeah, you can do worse than that. That's what I'm talking about. Bog. Lol, mama jokes. Oh, Reslol, do you think this is just a theater fight? It could be. It could be a distraction. Like Musk and Trump, they chuckled and, bumped fists, and then they said, we're going to pretend to be feuding in public. This will draw off the legacy media. I wouldn't put it past either of them because they've both got a penchant for doing this sort of thing. In this particular case, I think that there is a genuine disagreement, but I think that it's being hyperbolically displayed by the legacy media. So it's not really a falling out. It's more like, hey, I disagree with you, and I think that the Epstein thing is a little bit too on the nose, honestly. I think that that's more hyperbole than anything else. And also, Elon is a master of deception the same as Trump is. When he says, hey, Trump is in the Epstein files, may I offer you a suggestion? And I don't know that this is true, but it's possible. Maybe he's trying to draw attention to the Epstein files, to force the left to demand that they be released. Wouldn't that be funny? He manages to con the entire left. Hey, the evil orange man, the one that you hate so much, he's in those files too. Oh my God, you have to release those files immediately. Well, okay, very well. Yeah, Trump was vaguely associated with Jeffrey Epstein. Oh shit, you just implicated like half of Hollywood and shit like that. That could literally be what's happening right now. I wouldn't put it past either of them to have concocted such a plan. Tasmanaut, you should read Trump's statements on Truth Social and the rest of Elon's posts today. It's bigger than one comment. Oh no, I know that it is. Yeah, I've seen a couple of the others. I just thought I'd read the main one. So I have a feeling... why do I have the sneaking suspicion that that hypothesis is actually right? That the idea is to con the left into demanding the release of the documents so that they come on board. Because the right's already on board. And so everyone's unified in wanting to release the Epstein documents, right? I mean, though it may not be legally wise. Or at least, potential partitions of it. And then, once you release them, Donald Trump gets vindicated, and he comes out and grins like he's eating shit, basically. And says, well, yeah, I'm in the documents. I'm in the documents because I threw him under the bus or something like that. And then Elon Musk appears on stage and dances around and laughs his ass off because they've conned the entire left wing. I think that Elon Musk genuinely has a hate for the left wing, partially because of what happened with his trans child, partially because of what happened with his communist ex. I think he has a genuine problem with the left. It would make sense if he was trying to con these people into forcing the hand of the government to release the Epstein files, knowing that it would vindicate Trump or something like that. There are shenanigans going on, that much I can guarantee. I just don't know what shenanigans they are. It wouldn't be surprising to me at all. And if that happens, if they manage to pull such a thing off, it would be goddamn legendary even in hell. I would laugh, and it would be way funnier than the Chaz Garden, let's put it that way. Haha. What do fuck? Sticks, I've been meaning to ask, what's with the new background? New digs? I am in an undisclosed location at the moment in New York City. Aquafan, I just turned 30 on Monday. Congratulations, happy birthday. I've been watching you since I was 22. Wow, how time flies. Also, I thought 30 was supposed to be a milestone. I don't feel any different. I know the feel. I know the feel. Trust me, when you're approaching 40, you don't feel any different either, other than you start falling apart, I suppose. Last beacon, mainly because I like the K-cup system rather than the standard brewing and grinding the beans and the like. It takes a lot of guesswork out of it. Yeah, but French press is still the best. Cooking Inferno. Hiya, Cap'n. I love the Brookbot Gardens. What was your favorite part? Oh, the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens. I liked the desert exhibit the most. They have all sorts of cool stuff in there. Yeah, everyone, if you're ever in Brooklyn, make sure to go to the Botanical Gardens. Trust me, you won't, if you're into plants at all, you won't regret it. Agamemnon Fireman. Hey Sticks, since I'm going back to New Hampshire this August, are there any fun, historical, or geeky places you recommend? I see between New Hampshire, Vermont, or Massachusetts. You recommended Ray's Seafood Chowder last time. Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely go to Hampton Beach, specifically Northampton. Go there at low tide, and you'll find all sorts of seashells and crazy shit. I mean, it's insane. One time, my mom found a dolphin skull actually there, which was funny because when you turn it around, it looks like a demon from behind. It literally looks like a demon skull. I've shown it before. When Ebola broke out, I actually put it on a little altar, and I took a picture of it, and people were all freaked out, and I put it on 4chan, and it was hilarious. Yeah, go there. Massachusetts, I'm not terribly familiar with, but if you get a chance to get one of the, I believe the place is called Honeydews, and they have like Boston cream donuts. I'm not terribly into sweets, but if I was going to eat a sweet, it would be a Boston cream donut. But you gotta get an actual Boston. With Vermont, I would definitely see the Bennington Monument. You've got plenty of places in downtown Rutland that are pretty decent, actually, for eating. And Burlington is falling apart, but there are still a few good places. Like there's a Tibetan restaurant up there. And then, of course, there's Brattleboro. I'm not as familiar with what's there now because I haven't been there in like a decade. So, yeah, all three states, definitely, there's plenty to do. It's just a matter of what sort of things you're into doing, so to speak. Yeah, I'll vouch for Rutland. I am Rutland for life. I am the soul of Rutland. Last Beacon. This one's a sequel to my other upcoming super chat when I meet by 17 to 18 years, talking about the Katrina hysteria when Al Gore was milking the global warming tit in '05 to '07. Oh yeah, I hated how ghoulish they were. Katrina comes, and the levees break. I've been to New Orleans now half a dozen times. And the first thing that they talk about, it's not about people who are dispossessed. It's not about people who are in need. It's about global warming. And I thought, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Makes no sense. Whiskey Man, Rutland, North Dakota. No, Rutland, Vermont, actually. Spider Eternal, your mama so old, she was a waitress at the Last Supper. I like that one. You get the comment of the day. Yeah, Phil Yeri is correct. Yeah, FEMA is ignoring what happens in like Maui and places like that. FEMA comes along. The worst thing that can happen is that your community has to rely upon FEMA. That's probably the worst fate in the entire fucking world, actually. Wonderful. Yeah, FEMA showed up. Oh, well, number one, that means that we're fucked. And number two, it means that we're fucked. First, by whatever disaster just happened, and second, by FEMA. Well, everybody wins, except everybody. That's the whole problem. Bobby, yo mama's so retarded she was one of Styx's exes. I know that you're a critic of mine, but at least you're a humorous critic. That's all I ask for, really. Last speaking, shit, I meant upcoming fucking voice to text. Yeah, I already addressed that, don't worry. Bobby, Sticks, what did you do to Rutland? Nothing, actually. I would never target my own hometown with black magic. Let's put it that way. I'm just reacting to comments at this point. If you want me to get into more news, I can. Let's see. Do we have anything that's newsworthy? It's like Tuesday. Sometimes you get a news day where you've got like 10 primo stories. You can't even cover them all. You know, between the streams and the main videos that I make, I can't even cover them all. Some other days, you have nothing. Like, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, and I really don't like doing that. DEI colleges get an F on free expression from the Hill. Interesting that it would come from the Hill, by the way. By the way, no shit. Free expression. Yeah, you're not going to get that with DEI programs. Cuomo faces a pile-on and other takeaways from New York City debate. Yeah, Cuomo is still the front runner for the New York position, but you know, everyone else is hammering him because he's the front runner. This is not surprising. I mean, this happens in any election, mayoral, gubernatorial, Senate election, presidency. Doesn't really matter what it is. So it's not really a surprise to me, so to speak. It happens all the time. Just look at Trump, for example. When he's running in 2016, no political experience at all or anything like that, was an outsider basically. Who was attacked the most vociferously by all of the others? Oh, it was Donald Trump. Except for the time that Chris Christie decided to do a takedown on Marco Rubio, who is now Secretary of State, politics make very strange bedfellows. And I find this political timeline exceptionally fascinating, let's put it that way. One solution to the housing crisis is in plain sight. This comes from The Nation. I'll give you a solution. Why don't we prioritize people who are currently homeless and shit like that over people who are illegally in the country and get rid of the HOAs? Get rid of the housing authorities. Well, if we deregulate, then people will be more easily able to afford those homes now, right? I would think that would be better. Think about it this way. A lot of people that are in like the upper middle class, they're like, well, without the housing authority, you know, poor people might move in or something like that. Okay, well, the cost will drop considerably, and fuck you, if you simply get rid of the housing authority now, won't it? Well, it'll drop the price of my property. Is that a bad thing? I think that if property prices come down, it allows more people into the market, actually. If you want to sell off and move elsewhere, that's perfectly fine. That's your right. You're a property owner. But you don't have the right to tell other people what to do, and so forth. I think it would allow people that are in the solid middle class at least to enter the housing market. Right now, even if you're in the solid middle class as a millennial, you probably don't have the money to actually buy a home. You probably don't have the credit score to get a mortgage. Well, that really sucks. And then people blame others for living with mama and dada and stuff like that, when it's really the fault of people that are in their 80s and 90s at this point. So yeah, there's some news for the day. It's really messed up when you think about it. Be like music. Too thin Epstein files. Yeehaw, Clank Nation. God, we got so many Rumble rants too. Last Beacon. I wouldn't mind if it implicated half of Hollywood, because mainly we need near half of Hollywood is still stuck in the 80s and 90s. We need a fundamental new industry to move away from the centralized entertainment. Well, you're looking at it literally right now. There's so much entertainment online that it can't even be reasonably absorbed by a person. So we've already got that. Watched Cujo, by the way, the other night. Thought it was great. That's about the 7th time I've watched it. Apparently, Stephen King was on a massively drunken bender and has disowned both the novel and the movie at this point. Because he just sort of went off, basically. Cooking Inferno, Sticks, Providence, Rhode Island has great restaurants, worth a trip. Plus, like me, you can visit H.P. Lovecraft's grave. Make sure to leave a penny. That would be fun. Last speaking, the real big deal here is that it would cause a massive economic slump that would dwarf the Great Recession and Depression, but only for a short period of time. True. Angelus Sky. Clank from Hawaii, it's been a while. Here's how I know Trump is doing a good job. The news cycle has been generally slow. Just a sec, you moved up to the top. When you're talking about Tinder, things are definitely better in the country. Yeah, I mean, the main video for this morning was about a dating site. And the risk to short men. Mike L., the companies that determine your credit worth can't remain open without a bailout, 2008. Yeah, the credit system, by the way, is something that is almost unique to the United States. I was very surprised to learn when I went to the Netherlands, for example, that your credit, nobody gives a shit about it. They only give a shit about your income. The idea is that if you're earning a decent amount of money, well, that is sort of your credit. You're capable of paying the bills, they know that they'll get paid, and so there's no problem. Here in the United States, unless it's like really like small town America, you're going to need to get a credit score in order to actually afford a place at all. The Joker. Short men now at less risk from women. Hallelujah. Sounds like that movie Gay N-Words from Outer Space. You should look that up. Somebody said I'm not wearing pants. I do have shorts on, but trust me, I'm not wearing pants in this heat. It's too fucking hot. I don't look nearly as good without my gothy attire on, but it's just too hot for it. Yeah. Yeah, OG George Bear. Someone owns their home due to HOA fees is a disgusting abortion of justice and our rights as homeowners. I'm a realtor. HOAs are evil. Totally agreed. BW Sims 4 had a mod that removed the DEI NPCs and other BS. The uploader hasn't updated it yet and is taking it down. Leftoids tell me this is capitalism because even though we buy the game, they still... And that's just one comment, so I'm assuming there's another coming through. Yeah, Phil Yeary, it is an excellent film, actually. It was meant to mock blaxploitation films. It was made by a Danish film director, actually, producer, and but it was really, really fucking funny. Everyone should watch Gay N-Words from Outer Space. It's actually available on YouTube. The movie is still available because it's a satire. It's a comedy. Own it as in their own site. Technically, it is true that we only get licensing agreements, but they don't take down other more offensive mods. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, that particular movie is one of my favorites, actually. When I finally found it, I was recommended it by somebody else. And they're like, this is hilarious. You should watch this. I was like, at first, I'm like, it doesn't sound like it's really up my alley. Is this going to have, like, anal sex in it or something? It's not like that, though. It's a satire film. It's a comedy. And it is extremely well made. Apparently, the movie was produced in front of a live studio audience, by the way, and they spliced everything together afterwards. And it has like the old computers and stuff like that, sort of retro nostalgic for those of us that were around in the 90s or 80s. And it's just a great film all around. So you should definitely Definitely watch gay N-words from outer space. It's a good idea. If anyone else has any other bizarre, like, short film recommendations, by the way, you can always DM me on Twitter. I'm always game for those, as long as you link me. Because I've seen some weird fucking shit in my life. Let's put it that way. I mean, and this movie, I don't think really had a budget, actually. I mean, the budget was probably maybe in the five-figure range, or something like that. It's obviously a low-budget movie, but it's one of those artistic films that are made. The idea was to ridicule the blaxploitation industry of the 70s mostly, and which persisted through the 80s and into the 90s, to ridicule that and to make light of it, actually. It does have some, gay overtones, but the whole thing is it's a joke. It's hilarious, actually. Ah, Dreamology, yes, Dark Crystal. I've watched that before. BW, own it as it is on their site. Technically, it is true. Oh, I already read that one. You don't get a double. Cooking Inferno. Don't forget to watch Every Which Way But Loose. Oh, and Trading Places is a classic tool. Never seen Trading Places, although I've heard of it. But yes, I'm definitely going to watch Every Which Way But Loose. Angela Sky, Clank from Hawaii. Thanks for changing the live stream time. It will make it a little bit easier for me to participate. My time zone is a little annoying. Yeah, I've noticed when I move to the 3 p.m. or thereabouts time slot, or 3:30 or thereabouts, many more people tune in, actually. I wish I could quote from that particular movie without getting banned, by the way. YouTube will tolerate the movie being there. It won't really tolerate you referencing it too much. I like the part where the dude says, female, female, and he fires his ray gun and gets rid of that chick. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, though. Watch it for yourself. Tonight, when you're having dinner, I want you to watch Gay N-words from Outer Space. I want you to cue that up. It's right on YouTube. It's probably also on Rumble. And I want you to watch that while you're having dinner. Trust me, you'll have the time of your life. It's fucking hilarious. Females might not like it as much as men will because, well, I won't get into that. I won't get into the plot. If I do that, if I give you too many spoilers, then it won't be as enjoyable. So just watch it for yourself. Last Beacon. Yes, they are ghoulish because half of both the conservatives and liberals look at us as stock. I think it's more than half. That's the whole problem. They don't give a shit about us. Even the socialists don't give a shit about us. I think that a handful of liberals and conservatives give a damn, but it's a minority. I don't think any socialist gives a shit about us. There are no principled socialists. It's impossible. Classical liberals, constitutionalists, people like that, we give a shit, but we're in a tiny minority. So there's the dysfunction, unfortunately. Ugh. The trees have been fucking for days. Never had this problem in the Netherlands. It must be pine related. Last Beacon. I do not want to think about an entire government or organization bending its people over and having intercourse with the people. Yeah, well, I mean, it happens all the time. That's the whole problem. It's like I would love to see the Pine Barrens, but I'd have to choose the right time of year, otherwise I'd probably asphyxiate and die. I am very allergic to pine pollen. Yeah, the name Palm Brothers. Brokeback Mountain 6. I have to wear diapers now. What? I remember when Brokeback Mountain came out, and everyone got so hot under the collar about it. And I was thinking to myself, okay, it's like a standard like ranch movie, and it just happens to have two gay dudes. There wasn't anything particularly obscene about it. I did like that one scene where the dude was gonna fuck his wife, and of course he had gay sex. And so he, whirls her around and fucks her in the ass. I thought that one was quite funny. I mean, it's sort of like Human Centipede or certain other movies. They become a cultural phenomenon, um, but, at the same time, they're being played up mainly by the legacy media reacting to people having some sort of outrage to the movie. So you get a relatively tame horror movie, Human Centipede. I mean, there are some really gross moments there, like when the dude has to take a shit. You should watch that too. It's actually a good atmospheric horror. But overall, it's more of an atmospheric horror movie. It's not really nearly as grotesque as it was advertised, but people had a big problem with the concept and complained and rambled about it. And, you had church ministers, raising their fists and saying, this is degeneracy and stuff like that. Sounds like Conker's Bad Fur Day back in the day, by the way. I have a good story about that. You'd have like ministers whirling their fists, and you'd have parents calling up the fucking, government and shit like that and complaining about it. And so it went viral. And then that made it more popular. The problem is that the movie was way more mild than it was billed as because they were playing off of the panic of the public. And then the hardcore horror fans, they all thought this. I feel sorry for the producer of the movie because the horror fans that went in, they were expecting like splatterpunk. They were expecting a grueling experience. And they didn't really get it because it's mostly atmospheric horror. It takes place in Germany, if I remember correctly, which means it's obviously going to be rather dark and depressive. They didn't get it. And so then they complained to the producer. What did the producer do? He decided to troll his own audience and made the sequel, Human Centipede 2. This time, it was genuinely mindless horror. It was absolutely mindless. It was just nonstop depravity, grotesquerie, very underlit at times, by the way. The lighting was done, in my opinion, in a superb manner for a horror movie. Just blood everywhere, rape, everything you can possibly think of, basically. He said, okay, well, you didn't like the first movie because you were expecting more violence. I think that I can top myself, and I have respect for that dude because he really, really managed to make one hell of. I mean, it makes Cannibal Holocaust look like a tea party, actually, at times. I've seen Cannibal Holocaust. Apparently, um, the impalement scene where the girl is on, the wooden rod. Apparently, they got hauled in by the minister actually to answer because they thought that somebody had actually been killed in that movie. And then they had to explain. I think they had to have her come before the court and actually sit on the same platform. There was a little seat, like a bicycle seat, underneath, and then she would hold the rod in her mouth. So she wasn't actually killed or anything like that. It's a interesting movie. Wasn't a fan of Cannibal Holocaust, though. Spider Eternal, doesn't it ever get to you seeing the political elite ruin countries and people with wild abandon? I disconnect from the news regularly to keep myself sane. No, because I simply analyze the news, and I stand against these things and encourage people to improve themselves so that they can solidify themselves against such acts by their governments. Last weekend, and I can't stand Chris Christie. He is such a bloated fat sack. Yeah, he's more than bloated at this point. But then they'll prioritize the people instead of treating them like stock. Talking about past statement, once you get to the super chat, and we can. Can we can have that, can we? I'm not 100% sure. Wait, what super chat are you talking about? I think I read them all. Yeah, I read them all last weekend. I'm not sure exactly which one you're referring to. Brokeback Mountain number 66. Gay people fucking hell. Not that straight people won't be doing the same thing. K Backwater. Madness Combat by Crinkles. Thank me later. Goodness. Angela Sky. Clank from Hawaii. I broke rank with the Republicans. Shock. About the big beautiful bill and the debt ceiling. No more omnibus or debt increasing bills. No more money printing. Why is that so hard? Yeah, I mean, I'm of two minds. On the one hand, I do not want to increase the national debt. On the other hand, though, pragmatically speaking, I like to get into pragmatic politics. What the hell are we going to do about it? I mean, even if you don't pass the bill, the debt's still going to rise. The deficit will still be there. There appears to be no methodology by which we can put the genie back in the bottle at this point. And so I would say, in the end, let the economy flatline and then reorder things. Because the problem is the American people will not tolerate austerity. That will never happen. Telling the American people, well, you know, all of your benefits and shit, we're going to have to take them away. When they've already paid into the system anyway in most cases, that ain't going to fly well. What'll happen is you'll end up with a civil war. So, there's not much you can do about it. Bobby, Sticksback Mountain, Big Black in the Pirate Hole. Arrrr. And then you're like, that hole is blacker than a lump of coal in a cave at midnight in the Congo. Why is Brokeback Mountain becoming a channel meme? I've never done anything with a man, just to be clear. I'm super straight. Last weekend, oh yeah, Cujo, the one movie that took a movie entire series to redeem a dog breed. I'm talking about the Beethoven series and the Saint Bernard, of course. Yeah, Cujo was a great movie. I thought it was great. Most people hated it. It was panned, actually, generally speaking. I thought it was a great movie. And for some reason, there's one variant of it. And I don't know whether this was because I was getting it on my computer or whatever. And there was like this weird noise all of the time. Like this buzzing noise. Like the dog was being driven crazy. And that is part of the plot. But I didn't hear it when we watched it the other night. I didn't hear that noise, actually. And so I'm confused. I think there are maybe two different film variants or something. I mean, like St. Bernards. I have a weakness for them. I like St. Bernards. They're good dogs. 87 Sparker. What's up? The sky, generally. Yeah, I liked, I've liked Cujo. It's one of the better Stephen King movies, ironically. Like, The Stand, it's like his best book, The Stand. The movie sucks. That's why with the Long Walk, I'm very worried that they're gonna butcher it. I'm extremely worried because that was my favorite short story by Stephen King. My favorite long novel was The Stand. While they butchered The Stand, I'm worried they're going to do the same with The Long Walk. But I'm going to watch it anyway. Brokeback Mountain 327. Styx is actually Asmongold. Jesus. Also, Stephen King is still disgruntled to this day about Kubrick and The Shining. Because if you read the book and you watch the movie, they're not exactly the same in multiple ways. The problem, I think, for Stephen King was more that the movie outshined, pardon the dad pun, outshined the book. I think that he felt ripped apart by that. He's like, fuck you. And Kubrick could be a bit of an ass at times, it seems. For example, with George C. Scott, who played the general in Doctor Strangelove, he George C. Scott had an idea of the characters being more serious, not being slapstick humor. He didn't want to do that. He tended to be a fairly dour individual, it seems, and difficult to work with. So what Kubrick did is he would record him, and it was surreptitious in nature. He would say, yeah, just do the scene and act however you want. We're going to do this in a funny way and stuff. Don't worry, we're not recording. But then he was taking recordings. So some of those recordings you see of George C. Scott, who again is very dour, a grumpy individual, married 4 times, I wonder why, I think. That was Kubrick's idea of, basically, I want to make the movie my way. You're not being cooperative, but I want you in this role, so I'm just going to record you surreptitiously. George C. Scott was not particularly happy. Neither was Stephen King when Kubrick completely readapted The Shining. He could be a little bit of an artsy-fartsy dude. Though, in both cases, he made masterpieces. The Shining, the movie, everyone's fucking seen that. Many people have not read the book. The movie made it much more incredibly famous. The same is true for Doctor Strangelove. Had Stanley Kubrick decided to let George C. Scott have his way, Scott would have basically been the goddamn director. Everything would be according to him. And so there are certain scenes in which he's, professionalistic. The whole idea generally was that he should be more comedic. That was the whole point. But he didn't want that. So he had a problem with that. K. Backwater. No, seriously, I do think you'll enjoy Madness Combat, one of the best internet series of all time, and surprisingly insulated from modern BS. I'll have to take a look at it. Joseph Frozenthorn. Have you seen a Serbian film? Gnarly shit. No, I actually haven't seen a Serbian film. I've heard of it, though. Trust me. I think everyone has now. I just got a huge craving for peaches for absolutely no reason. I'll have to buy some later. Angelus Sky, Clank from Hawaii. Why not focus on paying down the debt? That's what normal people do to avoid bankruptcy. Cutting back on benefits is also a choice. Yeah, we're gonna have to cut down. We don't have a choice. But the problem is, if you use excessive austerity, then you get overthrown, and people go in the other direction, and then you've got the same problem. Mr. Buster Pants, King Bachman book Rage became reality. Oh yeah, Richard Bachman. That's Stephen King's pen name originally. Yeah, I've read Rage. My dad didn't want me to read it because he thought I might shoot up the school or something like that. Naturally, of course, I then read it because it became cool. The same was true of the Necronomicon and various other works. And Slob by Rex Miller, he tried to convince me that it was about a man that was so fat that he held his pants up with a chain. Of course, it's not. It's about an extremely retarded and very violent individual that kills people with a chain. But he tried to keep me from reading it, but then I thought that the idea was funny. So I didn't know why he would want me not to read it. So I read it. And I had a great deal of fun reading the scene where he's pissing in the waste paper basket. For some reason, this sort of thing amuses me. Jim Rockwell, get rid of the pirate outfit. No, absolutely not. If anything, you're making me want to be more piratical. I'm not changing for nobody. There's only one human being in the world who could command me, and that's my daughter. She's allowed to command me. Nobody else. I can take suggestions from a couple of other people, but yeah, sorry, nobody can command me to do anything that I don't want to do. I will fuck the whole world. By the way, please send no more super chats. I'm running up on 120. Joker Thief, Sticks, have you watched Hated by the G.G. Allen documentary? It's definitely a must-watch, to say the least. No, I don't think so. One thing that I really like is the G.G. Allen performance where he literally takes a shit on the floor, smears it on himself, and starts throwing it at people. I'm like, I was born in the same state as this individual. And people seriously expect me to take life seriously and to listen to what they say. And it's probably not going to work. Meisner Flux. Johnny has some interesting views on Kubrick and Eyes Wide Open with an angle on Hinduism and how the original soundtrack was pulled from the theatrical release as it called out perpetrators at such parties. Huh. Should probably watch that, actually. Last Beacon said G-word, N-word, G-word, N-word, G-word, N-word over and over. Patchcry Sticks, have you seen the El Duce tapes? No, I haven't, actually. Oh, Anthony Way. Yeah, I'll tell that story before I go. I remember back when I was a Christian. This was long ago, obviously. It was funny because the Christian radio broadcasting station that I listened to in the car on the way to and from my Tai Chi, actually, because it was in Woodstock, but I was living in Rutland, actually, at the time. They had a skit, actually, and they were talking about how Conker's Bad Fur Day was like this depraved game and sexualized and weird shit like this. And I did play it, and I mean, like, there's insinuations, but it's like, really, with N64 graphics, you're really getting turned on by that? I don't think so. I doubt it. If you had one of those rumble pads, I suppose you could, glitch the game out so that it just vibrates continuously. That might be thrilling for some people, but other than that, there's not much there. Oh my god, you've got fart humor? There are breasts in the game? Yeah, people were much more moralistic back in the mid-90s. Agamemnon Fireman, thanks for the Rex. Hope I'm not asking for too much, but are there any comic or record shops between New Hampshire, Vermont, or Massachusetts you recommend as well? Take care. There's actually a really good vinyl store in Rutland. I can't remember the name of it, but it's right in the downtown. It's near Hand Carved by Ernie's and Loose Luna and some of these other restaurants. It's right on the end, and they've got a really, really great selection, actually. I mean, for a small town vinyl market, yeah, they've got a lot going on there, actually. Please send no more super chats, everyone. I've got to go offline. Last Beacon, yes, I realize we are in a tiny minority and it hurts being in the minority because you slowly go insane. I've already done that. You go further and further down the insane rabbit hole. F. Winters loading. Elon and Trump are tearing each other apart. What's your take? I covered that at the beginning of the live stream. I believe there is a possibility that this is a ruse. I believe that there is a possibility that they're simply pretending to feud, to draw fire or, accomplish something that they want to do. That being said, if they're genuinely feuding, if they genuinely, are gonna go at it like mad dogs, I don't know which side I would be on, honestly, over the omnibus bill. Last Beacon, trees fucking. Yep, that's what's happening, and that's why I have to go offline, because otherwise I'm going to asphyxiate or aspirate or something along those lines, because there's an awful lot of pine pollen in the air. It's a big fucking problem. So yeah, I will be back tomorrow. I need to do a little bit of docketing, but I also need to go out and buy a few things, and many other things that I have to do. That's about all. Peace out.